Vegas, the NHL, the people that made the decision to have the draft in the Sphere. Just been to many drafts over a long time, and this was just so unique, so different, so superior for the players and their families. It had to be fascinating and just really blown away by how good it was, knew it would be, and was impressed more so even than what I would have expected. With our draft, 19th, with our selection, 19th overall, Trevor Connolly. Trevor is a tremendously talented forward. He's a great playmaker. A lot of dimensions to his game. Really high-end skill. And when you draft in the first round, we're in the top 20. You really want to come away with talent. And I thought that we did that today with the selection of Trevor Connolly. Trevor will be at development camp next week. He will join Providence Friars and play college hockey this coming season. And we'll work with our organization, our development team, that hopefully one day become a Golden Knight NHL player. Open it up to any questions, if I could.
He said through the meetings that you had, there was, obviously a lot of questions, a lot of vetting. Did you sort of know what you wanted to centralize in the meetings you had with him going in, just considering everything that, his past, so on and so forth?
Well, we met with Trevor at the NHL Combine in Buffalo, and we met with him again this week. Over the course of the season, we interviewed him. You interview like any of the people that you feel are in your wheelhouse. The background work is very extensive. The due diligence is very extensive. So we did that with Trevor. In addition to many other players. There were only 3 or 4 players that we met with again this week. He was one of those, and I think that we had a comfort level that this is a player that will represent our organization the way that we would expect any of our players to do that. I think that we're tremendously proud of our culture, how we treat our players, how our players treat each other. I have a lot of confidence in the program in Providence, where he's going to be spending time next. And Will Nickel is going to be a really important person in his development, who does a great job with all of our prospects. So that'll begin starting tomorrow. So that's where we're at with that piece of that, really.
You talked about always about leading guys who are high character. As you met with Trevor over the last little bit here, what were the things that kind of stood out when you got a chance to sit down and talk with him?
I think some growth and some recognition of areas where he had made mistakes, and recognized that. He was very candid, transparent. Didn't duck any of the questions that we asked him. And I don't know if it's exactly what you're looking for with the question that you asked, but in terms of the selection and that piece of it, just the skill. When you walk away from the draft, you're hoping that you've got a player that has a skill level where he can be a real good NHL player. When you're drafting where we were drafting, we're not going to draft in the first round next year, barring a trade. We're not going to draft in the first round the next year following that, barring a trade. This is a chance to, we felt, really add skill to our lineup with this chance that we have.
The last time you drafted at 19, a guy fell to you for different reasons, and Peyton Krebs. He is playing in the NHL. How convinced are you that Connolly can play in the NHL at some point? I mean, it's hard to always gauge a guy, from.
Well, he has the talent and the skill that you would reasonably project he's going to be a very good hockey player. That's what I would say. Nobody doing interviews here right now knows for sure. That's the nature of the beast. We're drafting 18-year-old players, but our amateur staff have watched these players over a period of 2 years, really, because they start watching them as underages. When they get to their draft year, the first event that the amateur staff attend is the Halinka tournament, which Trevor Connolly represented the United States at the Halinka tournament and was one of the very best players in the entire event. So you follow through the year, you watch a player's progression. The due diligence part I already spoke to, and we're really comfortable that this guy has an opportunity to be a very good player. That doesn't mean he will be. We'll see, Steve. That's on us a little bit too, in terms of what we do developmentally. And
so what does Will Nickel do to help him grow as a player on the ice? I mean, that's really Nate's job in conference, isn't it?
Well, he's going to a good program, so for sure that'll be part of it. But Will Nickel has a really important role in our organization. He works with all of our drafted players, North America and Europe, and I think is among the very best in the business. So that goes into this decision. And as I touched on earlier, I think the culture that we've built as an organization is also going to help this player reach his potential as a player, reach his potential as a person. That's what we're trying to do.
Kelly, if not for the stuff that happened in the past, are we talking about a top 5 pick or even a top 10 pick?
It's hard to say. I can't. I'm speaking for other teams when you ask me that question. Arguably, he would have went considerably higher. That's about as much as I would be able to, conclude. But the skill level puts him in the discussion with like the draft tonight. There's a group at the top there, and I don't mean 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. There's a large group of really good prospects that I would suggest have bright futures. I would suggest that many of those players will become good NHLers. I think he was talented enough, skilled enough to be in the conversation with those players.
As far as on ice, he looks like a strong winger, playmaking sense first, more than the shooting abilities that he wanted to work on a shot over the summer. Is that kind of what you saw as his playmaking ability that kind of stood out today?
It's elite. His playmaking ability is very good. His skating is exceptional. He needs to get bigger and stronger. You guys have met with him, it sounds like. He's going to have to develop physically, and that's not going to be something that takes place between now and September. That's going to be, I always use the expression, it's a 100-mile journey, right? And you got to get a little further into it each off season, in season when he's playing college hockey. So that's something that's going to take place over a period of time. It's going to be a while before he turns pro, and we'll see how physically how he develops along the way. When players have that type of room for growth, it puts more upside into the discussion, right? When you look at a player today that's physically mature, that's one way that player doesn't have to continue to improve. So in Trevor's case, I think that he's got a lot of room to make himself a better player just by becoming stronger physically and continuing to mature physically.
Was there an opportunity for you to move up to get him if you had needed to?
We didn't make any calls to move up. We had some calls to move down, which we turned down, and there's a lot of talk on the floor, a lot of talk in advance, even some trades in advance, which is pretty uncommon with people with teams changing position. And those conversations go on all the time, and there's, I think everybody sort of has, a pretty similar view on what it should cost to move up this many picks at this point in the draft or around. You'll see more tomorrow, obviously, as well. But we chose not to move, and again, to your question, we did not try to move up, but we did have opportunities to move down that we declined.
Kelly, you have scouted a lot of players, right? In your history. not comparing to somebody now, but when you scouted other players for drafts, does he stand out or did he remind you of anybody that's now playing but in their college or junior days?
Well, when you ask me questions like that, Willie, you're either going to make me look bad or him look bad. So I'm going to dodge that. But I would tell you that we are really impressed with his talent, and I'm repeating myself a little bit, but it really carries the day. When we were drafting where we drafted, we wanted to walk out of the building with some skill, some talent, and a player that had a chance to be a real good NHL player. That's what we were doing, and to your point, I've seen all kinds of players over the years from my time in Vegas and also my time in junior prior to that, and it's an art and a science. There's some things that you can button down that you feel pretty confident in terms of evaluating a player, assessing projecting him, and there's some things that are tougher, and that's why I've always said it's an art and a science, and we are comfortable with everything that we were able to see with our eyes, with everything we were able to find out by doing our due diligence, that we have made a selection that's got a good opportunity.
Do you believe that your organization and culture is maybe better suited to take on somebody with questions than others because of what you've built?
Well, I think we have a big role in it, Adam, and I'm really confident we'll do everything we can to help this player be a great player and a great person. Does that mean that's going to unfold that way? We don't know. But we sure feel that he is going to help himself, and we've all learned lessons along the way, and if we weren't comfortable that there's a good person there, we would not have made this selection. That's something I feel really strongly about. But to your question, yeah, when you walk into our dressing room, there's we ooze character and leadership. It's evident every time you're around our team. We feel the same way about our American League team in Henderson, the Silver Knights, with the leadership that we have there. We feel the very same there. So those are all big pieces of it. And I mean, you look at a guy like Jack Eichel coming to our organization, being surrounded by that type of a culture, what it did for his game. Now that's a really extreme example at the high end, but that was part of it. That wasn't just by chance. I think that the people in the organization helped him be his best player. So those are things that you acquire over time, and it takes time to build culture. It takes a period of years. You have to be consistent in your values and your beliefs, how you treat your players, how they treat each other. Those are all things that how you do things, what you stand for. Those are all things that go into building that, and I believe this is a great spot for Trevor.
You've done your due diligence, as you said. Everybody has talked to him. Before you started that, did you have preconceived notions like a lot of people do, like, oh, this is not good, and then you had to learn about it and figure them out?
Yeah, you hear it all, and it's not all unfounded. Like, we're not putting our head in the sand and saying that everything that you've read or heard didn't happen or whatever. But again, I go back to a comment I made a little bit earlier. We're talking about drafting 225 17-year-old, 18-year-old players over the course of the weekend. In today's world, with the magnifying glass that's on young people in general, that's a lot of people make mistakes, and I guess we can cancel everybody, or we can try to have a role in helping people get better. Also, that's what we'll do.
How do you approach tomorrow? Are you looking to try and get up into the earlier rounds early on? Or things like this?
If we could do something towards the middle of the draft, we'd like to give our scouts another opportunity. We've got such a great staff, and I've sat in with them on their meetings throughout the year, but this final week they've been in Vegas for probably 10 days, and if we can do something to get a pick, we'll try.
You talked about potentially moving up or down. Was there any deep discussions about using that pick to acquire another player from around the league?
No, there wasn't. There wasn't. Again, it ties into what I mentioned earlier. We don't have a first-round pick next year. We don't have a first-round pick the year after. The draft was in Las Vegas, so we'd moved heaven and earth to make sure we had a first-round pick here. I didn't. I get booed enough, so we didn't. We didn't entertain that.
Free agency starts on Monday.
Sorry, guys.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me, I'll cut him off right now. We'll talk again Monday. Okay, free agency is Monday. That you are right. We'll talk again Monday. Sorry.
No, that's where I was going.
Okay. Talk to Steve.
That's where I was going to go too. So I guess.
Okay, so then Kelly, let's go back to the very beginning, your opening statement about Vegas being the host team, the host city, the Sphere. Was it more than you actually expected? Did it sort of overwhelm you at any point?
I was really impressed. I was happy for the players and their families. This is such an important event in their lives, and they've been able to do something that no other player got to do in the previous drafts. So yeah, I thought it was really cool. Obviously, our attention's on the business at hand, but who among us was not startled when the first trade alert button turned over, right? Yeah. So it was awesome. And when we got here, we were here 2 hours before the draft starts, and they had the one graphic on the wall, and it's impressive. But then when all of a sudden you see what they're going to do with over the course of the night, it was fantastic.
Is there any chance that Bill could lobby with the Board of Governors to maybe reverse their decision and retain the current format, whether it's here or somewhere?
It wasn't made at the governor's level. It was the general managers.
All right. So would you be willing? I asked Pat Verbeek, and he said he'd love to see this tradition continue, if possible.
Well, we were. There was feedback from the general managers. There was effectively a vote. We were one of the teams that voted to keep the draft the way it was. There weren't many. There was, I think, overwhelmingly teams wanted to, decentralize, do it virtually. We voted to leave the format the same for a number of reasons. I think it's a great opportunity for all the stakeholders in the game to be in one place. I think it's fantastic for the players and their families. I think that it's unique to our sport. We're the only team of the four major sports that does our draft this way. It's an opportunity to get some business done with agents. It's an opportunity to have face-to-face time for myself personally with other general managers and people in the game. And then the other part of it for me is I think it's a tremendous development opportunity for CHL coaches and managers, USHL coaches and managers, NCAA coaches and managers. It brings everybody together, and I guess I answer the question that way. I went to 27 NHL drafts in a row before I ever worked at an NHL draft, and I just loved going to the draft. I was always fascinated by everything about it, and I feel that's a great thing to do for the game. So, there's an argument, there's an understanding, for me at least, as to why teams would want to do it virtually. You're in one room. There's the ability to have full dialogue with the people at the other end of the table. It's a good learning opportunity for those people in your staff that, when you watch the draft tonight, the conversation is generally at one end. So there's some reasons for that. And then I think the other thing is for staffs, there's less chaos. It's just you, it's your room, you're spaced out, you've got everything you need, and we've done 2 of them, don't forget. We did we did the one in Montana in 2020, and we did the one we based out of Vegas for 2021. Works really well. I just feel that it's a bigger obligation than that for me. So that's why.
Any chance of it being revisited in the next coming months?